is the Diary of a Lady Band Director podcast, brought to you by the Passion Is Network.
All right. Hello. We are live, and this is going to be an interesting podcast. I've been excited about this one. I'm really excited about this one because as an educator, this is the topic I love to go for. The future, the people who are going to take, and I got 17 years, but I'm still counting down. I'm counting down from 17 years. So if you don't know, welcome to Diary of a Lady Band Director, the only all-woman podcast on air that talks about everything band and music education, all from the view of a woman. As usual, we love sharing the stage with our dedicated viewers to gain more insight and encourage dialogue throughout. So if you want to share your insight, mic up using the link that will be pinned in the comments section of the chat on YouTube. To the viewers, please hit that like daddy, that share daddy, and that subscribe daddy to the Passion Is Network. And tune in to all the podcasts, secondary sessions, the feature, which features my girl Maya and Portia. Talk that time introduced, and last but not least, of course, Diary of a Lady Band Director. First of all, thank y'all for coming on. For real, y'all. I'm serious. I'm gonna retire, and I need to know that the world of band is gonna be all right when I do. So, just to get this show started, the topic is off the cuff with band directors. Now, if you're not familiar with the off the cuff podcast, we do them once every about. Off the cuff is basically shooting the breeze with people who are in that professional field. We've done an off the cuff with band arrangers. We've done an off the cuff with band media. And so today is off the cuff with new band directors and associated staff. Welcome. I need an applause thing. So first, I would like our featured guests, the new school, the leaders of the new school, that's what I'm going to call y'all, to kick off and give us a little information about yourself. Where'd you graduate from? That's important. We need to know what your alma mater is. And of course, any other pertinent information, whether that's Greek affiliations. I'm representing Red Team, the Sig Phi, the Sigma Alpha Iota International Music Fraternity for Women, as a charter member from the Morgan State, the National Treasure. I'm gonna put all the V's there. Home team. All right, and since I said the Morgan State, I'm gonna start giving y'all titles. Professor Jean L. Stock, you have the floor.
Well, hey, everybody. Excuse me, my bad. I was drinking some water. But yeah, my name is Gene Stock. I'm the band director, survey music teacher at Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School in Baltimore City. I'm matriculated from Morgan State University in 2018, and this is my second year teaching. And it's been a delight. That's all I can say. It's been a delight.
Out the Morgan State. Clearly nowhere near my generation. I'm old. It's okay. I'm feel it. All right. Next, we have Arthur Kimmins, and give us a little information about yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, we good.
All right. How you doing? I'm Dr. Arthur Kimmins. I'm the director of bands at Jefferson Davis High School in Montgomery, Alabama. I did my undergrad at Alabama State, my master's at Central Michigan, and my doctorate, my DMA at the University of Alabama.
Uh-oh. Hold on, you gotta say it again because we had that. I guess it's like Halloween hitting us. You went out for a little bit. So where you from?
I'm from Flint, Michigan, but I did my undergrad at Alabama State and my master's at Central Michigan and my DMA at the University of Alabama.
The doctor is in the house. Listen, I aspire to be like you, but I'm afraid of more school. Right. With that being said, thank you, Dr. Kimmins. I'm gonna put respect on your name. Mike Bell, we know each other. So Mike Bell.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Mike Bell from Baltimore, Maryland. Went to South Carolina State University, graduated cum laude. Proud about that. The brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I was section leader of the Bongo Brothers Drumline, and I currently teach for the Marching Elite Foundation, a community group in Baltimore, Maryland. It has been interesting. I've been working with them for the past year. It's been cool knowing that students who grew up just like me get paid through YouthWorks to play for the summer, which is a part of my plan to build pipelines to universities both in the Maryland area as well as out of state, and just helping to strengthen musicality through our students. Something that I feel like is lacking, post pandemic, but slowly but surely we're getting back there.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Dorian, go to a gig.
All right, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep, you good.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Dorian Black. I am currently on the way to something, but in case in point, I am a band director coming from John F. Kennedy Middle School. I graduated from Hampton University, bachelor's in music education, and then master's in music ed. What's that? Instrumental instruction, pre-K through 12. A lot of mouthful. But this is my second year teaching at John F. Kennedy Middle School, and now I've actually done a sidebar mission to help organize a drum line that represents Suffolk so we can start having more Blue River representation in the area. So lots of big growth. I will say this year I've gotten out of my own way in a sense. And now one of the cool things I'm going for is a soon to be Arthur role as well as going for doctoral mission. So got a lot of energy on this call. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Listen, you better hit up Dr. Kimmons to get some insight, because I'm definitely going to hit you up when I decide to make that plunge. That's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. We got a lot of Baltimore. Baltimore, because how you said it. I'm not from Baltimore, but I know how to say Baltimore when I need to. All right, Jesse, Mr. Law, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. You guys can hear me, right? All good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, so my name is Jesse, or Mr. Law. I teach right now at Edmondson Westside High School in Baltimore for Baltimore City Public Schools. I actually am originally from New York, but I did my undergraduate at a tiny university called Eastern University outside of Philly. And I got my master's in composition out in California from the University of Redlands. So I've been a little bit of everywhere.
That's dope. That's dope. We got real scholars. Now, I'm going to say shameless plug, like I'm real sensitive about who's in front of the babies, and they hear all these master degrees, and I have a doctorate, and that's what we need in the next generation. We'll get into some off the cuff questions. So just to warn you, sometimes we on topic and sometimes we not, but I'll try to stay true. Well, the first question of the evening, and this is a loaded question, and try to keep your responses, can't be here all night, because I know we could tabernacle on these type of topics all night. But the first question is, do you feel like your college prepared you to teach? Why or why not? I'm going to say it again. Do you feel like to teach? And I'm going to put a little caveat, teach in the current standard of education. And you could just put the little church finger up, or whoever hits that unmute daddy quick enough, you can go first. Any, many, miny, mo. Mike Bell. Gene, you got it. Gene.
Hey, no, I feel like it was a two-way tie between me and Mike. But coming from the new school of having a bachelor's degree at Morgan, I feel like my education or my matriculation at Morgan gave me like a starter pack, but not necessarily everything I may have needed. You know what I mean? Like it was good enough to get me off the ground, but once I got into my first couple of weeks at Dunbar, I was like, oh, I am not as equipped as I thought I was. The classroom setting can only give you but so much. And I feel for sure the experience that you get at Morgan, it looks like we lost somebody, but the experience that you get at Morgan will give you, it'll give you but so much, but so much. And that's okay, for what it is. Not discrediting my alma mater at all. I love Morgan, even in the master's program. But at the same time and token, um, just I feel like maybe a little bit of more of a classroom aspect, focusing on what the classroom aspect had to was coming, what was really coming in the classroom, wasn't shed a light on as much, in my opinion. And I'll stop it there.
I didn't hear the last part. You said wasn't something. What was it? Wasn't.
I said I feel like maybe the classroom, the true in classroom aspect, wasn't shed a light on as much uh, in that matriculation process, and I said I would stop it there.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like a starter pack. I'm gonna have to make that a t-shirt or something. Like that's about to be like music education. It's like a starter pack. I'll let y'all tabernacle. I'll tell y'all about. All right. We got back. Listen, we're trying to shut us down because this is an important topic. Let's see. Mike Bell, you had the second, and then I think we got hit by Quan's. Yeah, I know it dropped. It's the devil.
Got you.
We
I
just
can
gonna
hear
say
you
it's the
now.
devil. Okay, can y'all hear me? Good.
Yeah.
Mike Bell, since you unmuted, you got the floor. You got the floor. You can add to what he said. You can respond to what he said, or come with your own flavor.
I would most certainly agree that you're not going to get everything as far as being taught anything in the classroom setting, especially in undergrad. I started off as a music education major for my first year and immediately changed majors because I realized it might not be what I want to do primarily. Teaching is something that I'm currently doing on the side. However, because of my experiences at South Carolina State, I was able to see other folks doing the same thing, like an adjunct position. I primarily teach percussion. I don't teach a full ensemble. I find a lot of enjoyment in teaching percussion for folks who came like me who primarily play a percussive instrument. Some folks, if you're trying to run a program, what I've come to find is some folks try to do all of it at the same time. And in some cases it works, in some cases it does not. I like being specialized in this role because I know how much ground you need to cover as a percussion instructor. I'd be doing myself a disservice trying to do that and brass and auxiliary while also managing the business of the organization. You need a team for that. And I'm a team player. I work along with the team to do things that I do. Marching with South Carolina State, I saw a team work together to build, and maintain that program. As with every program that I've seen you guys have been a part of and everything, I'm sure we all can relate. Nobody's doing all of that by themselves. So to answer your question bluntly, absolutely, it prepared me to be able to teach. I saw great instructors, Eddie Ellis, Dr. Robinson, Tim Green, Mark McClooney. All of these folks teach folks from different backgrounds. I also saw folks who did not succeed but so well. Which goes into another topic that I'm sure we'll get on as far as teaching for your demographic. Saw a bit of that. I see folks' eyes getting wide, like, oh boy. But yeah, yes, most certainly, it prepared me a lot for this.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I got a different answer. Gene, you kind of like you got the starter pack. Mike Bell, you like I'm in. What school did you go to again? What college did you go to?
Me, South Carolina State.
What's funny, y'all were just up here this weekend at
I
Morgan,
couldn't hear you.
and
Yeah, God, I'm sorry.
I said y'all were up here this weekend, and y'all were sounding kind of strong. I ain't gonna say that y'all sound better. I'm just gonna say y'all sound strong at the game.
Appreciate that.
I ain't gonna do that thing where people hate just the fact that it's opposing school. Like I'm not gonna hate if you sound good. Damn it, I'm gonna say you sound good. That's interesting. You mentioned Tim Green. Tim Green is a good friend of mine because me and his wife are great friends. Noah Green, she's the director of bands at Baltimore School for the Arts. That's like an upper tier. These VPA programs, these performing arts schools. I'm at a performing arts school. They don't play around, and they're all Black and brown. So it's great that you had some good tutelage. I think that has a lot to do with it. Jesse, let's go to you. Do you feel like college prepared you to teach? Why not?
That's a great question. So like Mike, so I started out in my undergraduate as music ed because I wanted to be that great band teacher, because I had such a good relationship with my high school band teacher, and it really inspired me quite a bit. And then I actually went into the world of composition, so I took a little less of a traditional path, I want to say. But I did take a lot of the main kind of courses and everything. But in terms of teaching, I feel like it did help me, but it really didn't, especially in Baltimore City, because it's really the kids teach you probably the most. I want to be honest. So what exactly their levels are and their situation, and ironically or not, this is the first year that I had a band teacher in 2 years at my school. So I'm starting completely from scratch. So it's definitely a large learning curve, but honestly, the kids have been teaching me the most of where to meet them. And sometimes in college, I don't feel like it's always where you meet your students. It's just like, here's just the general scope of how it should go. So that would be my answer.
That's cool. Those relationships, like kids, man, we think that they don't know anything. It's their school, it's their program too, and especially when you're coming in and they haven't had anything for 2 years, and that means that they didn't really have anything during the pandemic. And so not only did they have to do, whole Zoom school, but they probably didn't play anything. I did an honor band, and I just realized, like, everybody on that stage, none of them had been playing longer than a year. They hadn't even had a real band year as a middle school student. If they're 6th grade, they're beginners on the stage. If they're 8th graders, they missed all of middle school band. That's real important. That's really important in development. So the kids being a part of that ride and kind of helping to inform you, and you being open to hear, that's a real cool thing. Let's see, Dr. Kimmons, do you feel like college prepared you? Yes or no?
Yes, but not in the traditional sense. I think when I was graduating from Alabama State, I was becoming me as a musician. And I feel like the education program at Alabama State gave me a foundation in case I wanted to go teach. Because what I immediately did was I went to grad school for performance. All of my degrees are performance, and all of them are in tuba. But
Oh, wow.
I still needed that educational aspect. When I say yes, it prepared me. It taught me to learn myself. It taught me to always be ready. It taught me to value my education and what I know and where I come from. And I mention these things because these are all things that we want to imbue upon our students. Understand where you're coming from, where you're going, what you know and what you don't know. Learn what you don't know. Become what you don't know. So you're that much more powerful, is the way I look at it. And so it prepared me to be me as a musician. And then I went on to grad school. I became that musician. I became that tuba player. But I've always been teaching throughout that. And it's all been higher ed. So this isn't my first year teaching. This is my first year teaching K-12, coming from higher education. And so the way I look at it is my entire experience prepared me to teach high school, which is so weird. 3 degrees in, thinking I'm gonna be a tuba professor, which I don't mind. I'm gonna do it eventually again. But all this time as a tuba professor to come down and do it. Like I can do it. My mentor, who's like a father to me, he always tells me, Arthur, you're a builder. Like to start foundations and watch people grow. And it's the truth. And I'm not gonna lie, being a tuba professor, it was great because I love my instrument, I love my craft, but I felt boxed up. It's one thing to build a studio, but then versus creating a whole learning environment for some kids, that's huge. And I think it wasn't just that my schooling prepared me, but my entire educational experience, my entire thing is what prepared me for all this. Sorry if that was too much.
That's interesting. You're coming from higher ed, and I just went to higher ed. And I really wasn't I just wanted to be a high school band director for the rest of my life. Like, that's all I wanted to do. Because my college experience had such an influence on me. Not saying high school didn't, but college was like life-changing for me because it taught me to be a band director. So I said, I really want to just help out high school to get them to toss them off to the next point and make sure that they're ready. I'm be honest, I was prepared. I think I was prepared well for Morgan for anything, but it's nothing like a lot of us teaching in Baltimore City where there is no foundation sometimes, and you starting that daddy from zero. And these people on the internet, these Facebook trolls, these appointed professors of music education and armchair band directors, they have no idea what it's like when you go into that band room and nobody signed up for band. Or I always tell people I had last names A through L or L through Z for my first 5 years on a high school level. And people like, why don't y'all travel? I'm like, because L through Z didn't ask to be here. I'm just trying to get L through Z to understand that you in this class, I want you to play an instrument. If you don't, the class, but we're going to try to have an educational experience, and I'm going to try to get you to do it to a high level, even though you don't know what end to blow it. They don't have no idea. So it's just kind of, it's a lot to take on. And coming out of pandemic, I just want to say kudos to y'all because you ain't had to do it. Y'all heard all the stories. You heard how they treated us coming out. You heard they was like, get in there and die. I felt like that's what they was just like. Go back to, we tired of our kids, so go back to teaching. And if you die, you die. That's the narrative we at this point. So the fact that y'all decided to even show up for the call after what we went through, like for real, y'all mean a lot to me. So this question, is being a music educator what you expected though? Because there's being prepared, but then there's an expectation I think we all have, and sometimes it is. So Dr. Kimmons, you put that church finger up real quick. You got the it's like, wait a minute.
It's not really about the expectation. This is more spiritual for me. And I'm not big on religion, and I'm not big on talking about my spirituality, but like it's literally like a calling to me. If someone asked me to teach them, I would say okay. Straight up. I would just say okay. And so people ask me, so why did you move from higher ed to K-12? Was there money involved? Yes. But was there also an opportunity to help as many people that looked like me as possible? Absolutely. And so when it came down to expectations, the only people that had expectations dealing with me in this music program is the people around me. I didn't expect anything. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what needed to be done. Shit, I was going to do what I had to do. There was no expectation. There can't be if I'm going to do this. And if I make it sound like it's one of those things I do for free, if I could, I would. It's bigger than me. So there really were no expectations for me.
I'm about to put you in A flat. I'm about to find an organ. I'm about to put you in A flat. I wish I had that type of insight. I expected a lot, and what I got was not what I expected. But that's all right. Anybody else want to take the floor? Because Dr. Kimmins has already spread open the message that is bigger than us.
So when I was in high school, right, my first band class with Terrence Gallup, God rest his soul. Within the first 5 minutes of that class, a textbook was being hurled across the room from one student at another. Just because I can't make this up. Like you said earlier, last names A through L. I can't even say it was like that much. Maybe A through B wanted to be there. The remainder of the alphabet, this was just an elective class because all the other electives were filled. And yeah, that is unfortunately how, certain districts treat the band class. As far as what I expected from being an educator, I had low expectations going into it. As you said earlier, it became less about what I expected and more about what can I do in this role. Coming out of the pandemic, I see and still see opportunity to give students from the area that I come from the opportunity to grow past what has been expected of them or what has been portrayed as the expectation of them. That expectation, in my opinion, has diminished through the pandemic. I mean, you got whole class periods where folks don't show up. Like they will put on their screen reconnecting as their name and be at the house, sleep all day, eating up all the snacks, everything. This has been the expectation over the course of the past, 2 years? They're just now getting back in the classroom, let alone for the band world. What does that mean to us? Practice regimen, basic things like attention to detail, standing at attention. Don't get me started. Man, being on the same foot, tempo, even though these kids dance all the time. Yeah. To the parents who may be watching this podcast, imagine a class full of 30 something kids and 2 of them are throwing textbooks at each other. Imagine running that class. That is unfortunately what the band class ends up looking like. But the folks on this panel right here are folks who maintain that order and build programs from it. That takes a very strong individual, especially through a pandemic. And yeah, it's hard to have expectations to build that type of skill, but to see programs out there from the cities that we come from and everything, clearly it's being done. And kudos to all of you for that.
Listen, I was triggered, Mike. now by that throwing textbooks, because I kid you not, my first year, I had a little boy. I was taking him. My first teaching gig was in Brooklyn, Maryland. Was right. Yeah, see the faces. If you don't know, Brooklyn is about one of the realest places. My first year teaching was in Brooklyn, Maryland, southeast Baltimore. It's the bottom. And this little boy threw my bass drum off the stage. That thing went into orbit. They had nothing music. Nothing like the place where teachers go and quit after the first week type of deal. And I was triggered. I was like, what the hell? So that prepared question, I was like, what the hell? I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't prepared for a kid to launch a bass drum in orbit off the stage. Like, how do you respond? And so it's real important for parents to know, and like people who band director, and it's not how it was when we went in school, y'all. Like, raise your hand if you think it's the same. Like, not at all. Like, y'all, Dr. Kim, is your look of disgust. Jesse got the stank face. Like, it's just not the same. So, who else want to go? What is it? What you expected?
So my expectation, especially when I first applied to the job, was like, oh, great, because I was stepping in some pretty big shoes. The band director before me, so basically, like right as the pandemic was starting, is when he left, and he's still around. He helps out a little bit here and there. I've seen him around. He's an awesome gentleman, Mr. Brown, and he was there for 40 years. So he was there for a long time, well-established program. So I was like really nervous. I'm like, wow, this is this is something to go in for, right? And then when I go in there, and just the fact that there are some other difficulties, and at least the really thing that really threw me off was the emotional tiredness I have with my students. Is that, and not only, yes, I want to teach them instruments and build them up and perform and do all the great stuff, but all like the emotional heaviness that comes with the job sometimes. Because I have kids, and I mean, I love them to death, and I have kids that like band is like their safe place. Like, band is where they can have fun, they can express themselves so much. Maybe there is something on the outside, whether it's family or any other issues that's like really bothering them. But I have kids, like, at least recently, it's been picking up a lot. They're always like coming in like during my lunch, like, hey, Mr. Law, can I sit down? And I'm like, you're not supposed to, but is there like anything else like you want to talk about? Is there something else like going on? So I'm happy that I can be there for them, because I feel like I received a lot of that, especially like in graduate school and undergrad. Like, some of my close professors like always checking in on me, whether it's like emailing me, texting me, or that sort of situation. But like now I'm kind of giving it back and like realizing, and I'm like, wow, this is actually like almost, if not even more important than I think actually getting to the music part of teaching. So that's what I have to say.
I heard you, Dr. Kimmons. Dr. Kimmons said, not doing my planning. Listen, young new band director Krystal Williams used to spend lunch before school, after school, doing class, write up pads, let you come and see me, you having a bad day. The 17-year educator values my peace. And unless they look like they are really having, and I plan some days, you could come Wednesdays. Wednesday's my easy, maybe light day. You come bother me doing Wednesday. And I got one student that's with me all, like every lunch, but special case, they're on the spectrum. They need that connection. And I'm that one adult they connect with. But the rest of them, I'd be like, all right, go away. And they laugh and they know I love them, but I'd be like, listen, I'm gonna eat lunch today. So go to the band room, go to the cafeteria, go practice a little bit, and come see me like 10 minutes before the bell, maybe. But if I got some stuff to do, I tell them they understand, but they do job be like, oh, my first years, I never did anything professional wise because I was always with the kids. And those relationships, you right, Mr. Law, it matters. But I'm with you, Dr. Kimmons. Sometimes I need me time. Gene, what you got?
I can piggyback off of Mr. Law. When you're coming in that legacy position, because I came the same exact way. I'm over here at Dunbar. I came into Mr. Fun's position. He had been there 29 years, so you're when you're developing those relationships and you're now cultivating your own safe space and you're showing the kids, okay, this is how I do things. It could be a little rough, so to speak. When you're really starting from a place of getting handed the reins, so to speak, like getting handed the reins, and the reins just weren't there because Mr. Fun did the same thing. He left right before the pandemic, and he was a really, really great band director, and he really left an established program. But just piggybacking off of that, like the legacy thing is very, very much important to keep up in the city. That's all I got to say.
That's interesting. A lot of us are legacy band directors. I was a legacy band director 40 years. That's a lot different than creating something because there's a lump. So I'm gonna throw it off the cuff, and Mike, I think Mike, you didn't go yet, right? Or did you go? Did we all go?
I went first, technically.
You went first. So I got this off the cuff. Dealing with alum, the outsiders. Do you think you're what they expected? Uh-oh. Go ahead, Gene. I see you waving us down. Go ahead, Gene.
No, I don't think. No, not at all. I got the stares. I got the who is this? Why are you stepping in my? You're not Mr. This. I got all of that. But when you're dealing with that, you said lum. When you're dealing with that lum or lump, when you're dealing with that hump, it could be heart wrenching sometimes. Like, hey, like I got love for you guys too. I'm trying to give myself to you guys, and it feels like you guys aren't accepting me. But it's not about that. At the end of the day, it could feel like that after, especially you're coming in the band room, and you're looking at 30 years worth of stuff, or and you're looking at stuff that hasn't been touched in eons, or just old drums, old practice rooms that haven't been cleaned out in maybe 15 years, and and then you're dealing with kids that may have been in that program, right? And now they're your transitionary kids, as I like to call them, saying that they're still part of that old, I hate to say it like this, the old style of what the band director before used to do, and now what you're doing, and it could be rough, very, very rough, the transition from that.
Woo, that cleaning out the band room from somebody who's been there for 30, mine was 40 years. I opened up one practice room and they were broken instruments from decades, stacked. Stacked to the ceiling. It took me 2 years just to clean out the practice rooms, just the stuff in the band room. We ain't even gonna talk about the closets outside of the band room that had stuff that had been probably, we call them level 5 instruments, like they never gonna work again. And they just kept them for whatever reason. That cleanup, because there's nostalgia and it's hard. You gotta be careful because you're like, ooh, this picture probably don't exist anymore. Like some alum might want to see this hung up. But at the same time, you want to make that space your own. Like that's a hard transition. Somebody else, alum. Yep, Dr. Kimmons.
So it's not alumni, it's past influence.
Oh,
That's what it is. It's not necessarily saging the place down, but it's like you coming in new can't operate in the old. Like there's no like shout out to Professor Brandon Howard, former band director of Jeff Davis High School, now professor director of bands at Huntington College here in Montgomery, Alabama. He created an outstanding program and one centered around the kids and achievement. And now that I'm here, I couldn't help it. It was that typical band room, trophies everywhere, pictures from like 30, 40 years ago. And I had to take it down. And it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It was like, what do I want to do? Do I want this to be my program or their program? So I said their program. So y'all got to do it. And I'm really big on y'all. I'm being my students' face. Y'all. It's all about y'all, whatever y'all want to do. And so y'all have to make this space what you want it to be. Y'all have to help make this into a learning environment. Will alumni get in the way of that? Absolutely. That's a clean house, man. Folks ain't like me. Like the last 3 weeks of July, ain't nobody like me. I was no. I had to put a sign up, no alumni, like people talking mess about the band on Facebook and stuff. I don't care. You ain't coming in here. Because you listen to conversations between alumni and students, especially like those transitional ones who just graduated versus like, but they are someone who's in school. Like those people, you listen to those conversations, like, you don't know what you're talking about. And you got this little boy saying what you just said? No. No. You gotta warm the horn. You gotta open the horn up. How you do that?
no, you gotta beat that. You gotta beat that hoe.
What? Okay. In all my years of tuba, I ain't never heard nobody say, "Oh, the horn don't sound right because you gotta open that thing up." How you feel me? Like, or it's like, "Oh, I don't like this mouthpiece because it'll make me sound right." Or is it you? Because ain't nobody playing the horn but you. But you know, that's the type of stuff that you get from alumni. That's the type of stuff that you get from people who still in school but not in the band no more. Like I said, the issue isn't alumni, it's influence. And we need to make sure that low-key we're writing the narrative of the program. If we're going to focus on these things and these principles and whatnot, I don't want nobody around y'all who not musicking like that, if that makes sense. But that's my rant. Alumni.
I like that rant though. Listen, I came from Charles Strother 40 years as Western High School's band director. One, I came in as a woman, and it's an all-girl school. So he was more to them than just a band director. He was dad. And we know how dad gets things done versus mom. So, you know, I got tested all the way to the end. My former student just took over my program last year, and she's a Western alum. You know how many times I've talked to her this year? Twice. You want to know why? It's her program. It's hers to shape it however she wants to shape it. I only want her to ask me questions if she's trying to find something. I left her a whole website of music that's out of print that I know traditionally the school likes to get into. But I was like, I think he got caught by Quan's ghost, the ghost of the ghost of Quan from Talk That Talks Wi-Fi. It's all amongst us. But I let them do. I'm like, I sometimes feel like they think I want to hover, or like if I ask something, I just want help and support. I don't want the narrative to be that I abandoned you. But I also don't want the narrative to be that I hovered over you and that I'm still trying to control something that I left on my own free will in good standing. Like I wasn't hit with that arrested daddy for doing something inappropriate. Like I was moving to college. I was moving on to something different. And I needed, after 17 years, the space to do that. But I fought tooth and nail so it could be someone who's familiar with the program. And if I trust that, I have to put my hands off of it. I have to let them figure it out. And I do that with all my music ed majors now at UMBC. I'm like, when I come observe your class, my hands are off. I'm just writing down things I see and we'll talk about it later. I'm not going to manage the room. I'm not going to try to take over. I'm not going to try to do any of that. How do you learn? How do you learn if that's what I do? And how do you grow in the program and grow with the students if other people are in your ear? Because like sometimes what they ask you to do is just not even right. It's not even legal. Let's emphasis on legal. Like, no, you can't do that. No, we can't just get on the bus and go to a gig without a permission slip. No, we can't do that. We're not going to do that. So shout out for y'all to have like that good kind of solid, this is what I'm trying to do. Let me put Jesse back in. Did he get kicked? Okay, you are there. I'm looking at the screen like, who getting kicked out now? Listen, Devil, we ain't playing it. All right. Anybody else want to?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. So at least with it's interesting. So I've met I met a lot of alumni, and I met numerous of parents who were the band at some point, while they're attending school. And ironically, my situation's been weird because I got a lot of support. No one's not trying, they say they think, oh, this is how it's done before. I'm like, that's great. I want to honor the past, but I want to expand it to the now, because that's where my voice is. It's going to try to fit into that, in that equation. And ironically, for my marching band that I also do direct, right now we just got a drum line, but we're gonna get there. And I actually work with alumni to help me run this. So they're even pouring back into the band, which is even great. And I am extremely thankful for it, because we're bringing all the old traditions back into play, which of course admin and parents and fans and students, they all love that stuff. I'm just excited when we move past that and see what more else what we could do with it, because I came from at least in terms of a band and in the marching band aspect, I came from a really we were level 5 gold medal band in state competitions. I just actually, right before we started, my marching band just came in first place in New York City State Field Band in their division, which is extremely, extremely competitive, and they're just a competition band. So shout out to them. And it's just great. I came from so I want to implement what I already know into these kids as much as I can, and just take them somewhere that maybe have never even thought of exploring before. And that's eventually what I want to do.
It's about the new experiences, because sometimes, I don't know, it's hard because they were brought to a certain place for that time, but it's really easy for someone who's been in a spot for a long time to be antiquated and not be forward moving and not do new things, to have new opportunities, or to be open to new ideas. They'll just say, this is what we do, this is how we always done it. But rightfully so, sometimes their advice is what we need, especially from another band director or alum. They'll say, hey, you might not want to do this. If you do this in front of alumni, they're not writing checks. And you need that kind of reality. You do need that reality check that it's still kind of your program, but it belongs to something so much bigger than yourself. There were some things that I just knew I wasn't going to change. I wasn't going to change senior inaugural music, because 50 years of Western Nights, no March from Aida. And I'm not going to give them a new perception just because I feel like it. I'm going to make sure they sound better than they've ever sounded before doing it. I'm also not going to, I see you, Dr. Kimmons. That was the procession of the princesses, because all girl school. So I understood why it was so symbolic. I wasn't going to change like certain things, certain aspects of ceremony. I was really careful with ceremony. Like, I'm not going to change ceremony. But we don't travel. So guess what we're going to start doing? We're going to start to travel because we're only great here. We're not great somewhere else. And so we do need to have that alum sometimes that is respecting to you. However, will keep you kind of grounded in things that you may not know. So that leads us to our next question. One, I'm really enjoying y'all, like for real. Like I'm really, really happy that y'all are the new generation because listen, we got a lot of people who shouldn't be in the classroom. We see them every day now. You see them every day that should never be in front of anybody's kid. So this is the tough one. What are some challenges you or other new music educators face that the general population may be ignorant? I'm not going to say ignorant. I'm going to say ignorant, like my grandma would say, ignorant of. Doctor, what's some things that they just don't know? Go ahead, Dr. Kimmons.
What it means to be a band director or music teacher. People have no earthly idea what that means. People don't know that those are two different things. People don't know that it's like different types of people. Like, holy crap. But I'm a classical musician, classical tubist now. And it's like, these kids, they come up cranking, I can do this, I can do that, I'm loud AF, all this. But can you read? And so, even down to the student, they think you are there to band at them. And people on the outside think that you just pull a band out of ass. Like it does not, it don't work that way. And the bigger point comes from, the bigger point comes from the student. They don't know what they are here for. They know they want to be here though. But you don't like, boy, you can't tell me the only skill you know is B flat. You know what I'm saying? What? Oh, I got lows. I got pedals. No, son, that's a low F. That's all that is. That's a low F. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I can't play that high. Bruh, that's an A. It's an A on the line. I got to play A flats above that in my solo music. What do you mean? Oh. Like, people don't know what it takes to be a real musician. Folks want to claim all of this stuff. I'm good at this. I'm good at that. But, like, do you know what it takes to be good at what you're trying to do? You know what I'm saying? Do you know how to find people who are professionals at what you're trying to do? You trying to learn this solo. Are you learning it from your homeboy or are you learning it from a reputable source? Are you doing active listening? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm sorry.
See, Dr. Kimmons, one, you making me feel like I'm about to keep you on the show. One, you sound like my good bro, Luke. I don't know where he been hiding, but I feel like you done brought the spirit of I think you done brought the spirit of Rick from Talk That Talk out into my podcast. That band at them, yo. There's so much more we have to do than get on that podium. I mean, that podium is like 10 minutes. 10.
It's what Law
10
said.
minutes.
It's what Law said. It's like all
It's 10
the
minutes
stuff you gotta do before the music.
for 10
Before
minutes of
the
a
music.
show.
Like, I gotta teach you how to even process what I'm about to teach you, so I'm not teaching at you. I have to teach you how to receive this. What you gonna tell me? Oh, the horn ain't working right because the mouthpiece, or it ain't opened up. Ooh.
It's that band at them. I'm gonna say I band direct, not on band at.
Man.
Woo! Who else about to take the floor? The church is open. The doors of the church is open.
Piggybacking off of something you just said, all the work that goes into 10 minutes worth of show on average, right? So the original question was, what are the challenges, some of the challenges that we face? Let me direct this towards something I'm sure we all can relate with. Parents. Parents, for those of you who are watching this podcast, understand that band is what I call the sport for smart people. This is a sport. Every sport, it involves.
Dumb and play an instrument?
What is that?
You can't be dumb and play an instrument?
I don't believe that anybody's inherently dumb. Dumb, those involve bad choices. I don't think anybody just does those things. Like with band, you actively choose to be in this sport. No one is going to force you to be on the field or in formation. I'm not going to. I'd much rather have you off to the side than have you in rank looking bad. I will pull somebody off in a heartbeat. You don't know the music? All right, come up on out of there. Straight like that. Anyhow, parents, you must understand that these things, it takes prep, time, and setup to get right. You got your kid has to practice this in order to get better. One. So how can you come to me saying my kid is tapping on everything all night? Y'all gave him this drum pad and he just plays on it all day long and it's driving me up the wall. How you expect him to get better? I mean, first off, we gave him the drum pad. At least it's not on your table. Now you don't have those little dents in it. You know, then after the event, imagine we come back from a trip, which, you know, thankful to have a program that's going on trips every now and again. But we had parents complain, y'all got to set up stuff after y'all finish too? Why can't y'all just take everything off the bus? You mean me and one other person take 30 students worth of drums and equipment by ourselves? Word. Cool. Thank you for showing that you care. Thank you. I appreciate you for, you know, your contribution to this program. This is what you send your kid off to do. Thank you so very much. You don't want them actively involved in it. Like I say all to say, the parents, you know, sometimes parents do great. Like I'm not saying it's all parents. Don't get me wrong in that at all. But some who don't really understand what all it takes to train a kid in order to be in this sport, let alone, you know, the PT that goes involved into it as well. Mom, they made me do push-ups. Why are you making my kid doing push-ups? Because we have this maneuver where we hold our drum up like this, and your kid almost dropped it, so I feel it necessary to strengthen these muscles right here that he actively uses to play and do this maneuver. Oh, quiet face at that point. And, you know, challenges, most certainly not understanding the craft. That comes from parents and also students as well. They come in. I thought you just sing into the horn to get the note that you want. I didn't know you had to set your lips or press valves or hold it over this far or anything like that. I thought you just sang into it. No, it doesn't work that way. I thought with just playing a drum, you just freestyle. You just bang on it. We have to play things at the same time.
On it, man.
Oh, hold up, Dr. Kimmons. Kids did the performance because they didn't wash the dishes. Hey, that's real. That's real. I had a total bass player not being able to make a performance because of an argument they had coming out the door over socks.
I know it ain't my turn to talk, but man, like I babysat your child all week for you to pull them because of an argument. I'm done.
That's it
Man.
right there. Because of an argument.
But yeah, parents, please understand all of this takes work, time. I mean, if y'all were able to do it, y'all be right there with us, and you truly see all the work that goes into it. Kudos to the parents who stick around sometimes for practice. Those are the ones that end up coming around and being band boosters. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the challenge is just sometimes that disconnect. At least for what I've seen thus far. But man, that's my rant.
Listen,
Get it.
that's that not knowing that removing your one child has now upset the entire village and what it is that we still have to do without your one child. That it's a level of, I hate to think of it this way, but it's a level of selfishness that we haven't really addressed in education, because everybody's got this level of selfishness. Like the politicians just want test scores, but nobody cares about when we remove one thing out of a well-oiled group activity. It takes group effort. It's a sport. It's a group sport. I tell students, it's a group sport. If you miss your mark, this entire step 2 is off. If you miss your mark, and the worst case I had, it still makes me sad. And a young lady graduated as a music major. Her senior year, her mother decided the day of the concert she got braces. The day of her senior last year spring concert. And how devastating. It wasn't just devastating to the group. It was more about that experience. She couldn't play anything. She had a solo. She couldn't play it. We played Americans We. That's a tough march. She played first trumpet. Second trumpet, if they ain't been playing that first trumpet part, they're not going to be able to cover it. And just when they remove one thing for haircuts, your hair been tore up all week. What's one more day? I get doctor's appointments, but even me as a mom, like I try to, you don't have a game today. My son plays soccer. You don't have a game today. Even when he's tired, sometimes they don't feel like it. Like you call, oh, my child didn't feel like it. I wish you would sit in my house for an activity I'm putting money into and tell me you don't feel like it. You getting up today. It's just, but someone just said it in the chat, and I'm put this up here. They won't pull them out of a football game or a track meet. They have a better chance getting a scholarship for band, sizable one, even as a non-music major, than football, track, basketball, soccer, because the odds are against you. And I don't know, maybe we need better education for the community about what can happen. I try, but you are guaranteed to get a scholarship, especially certain instruments. You're guaranteed to get a scholarship. Say oboe. Just say oboe. Say bassoon. Say French horn. Say euphonium. Say bari sax. The scholarship is falling out the sky. And you spending $600 a month on football and your child can't even take a hit. It's just insanity to me. That one hit me. That one right there, Lauren Cohen. That one is the one. Gene, you got something to add to this? You just giving us the nod of approval.
I'm sorry that I've been over here just preaching. I'm agreeing. It's that juggle. It's really the juggle of everything, especially when you're doing survey of music during the day and you got all these survey of music classes to do. And then you got to go ahead and do that, plan for that 10 minutes of band on top of that. Then go home and spend all of your time planning for survey of music again. It's a juggle. And then you got to deal with administration on top of that and the alumni and dealing with performances. It's a juggle and a struggle. That's all I got to say.
The juggle. Because band directing is not all we do. That's the one for me. It's not all we do. Mr. Law.
Yeah, so just to piggyback on what you said earlier, so I'm actually a bassoonist, so I can attest to the scholarship money. That is my main instrument. So my biggest challenge, kind of wrapping it back around, it's establishing faith. That's a big thing I've been learning. It's establishing a faith that students can actually do what you're asking them to do. Because especially some of these kids, at least mostly my kids, some of them haven't touched an instrument since middle school. Some of them, like, you know, those L to Z kids that are just kind of placed in there. You know, they get, especially some of them, I could really relate to this with marching band because they want to be there. You know, they chose to join and they really do care and they get frustrated so easily. Like very, very easily. So I mean, it's just a difficult balance of not only like, am I teaching about 5 to 6 different instruments at a time in a band room? So I'm like hopping from, bringing my clarinet with me, my saxophone with me. I have a trumpet on the side. You know, I have a trombone at the ready if I have a trombone student. So I'm not only teaching like 5 different subjects, and that's what I told my kids from like about 3rd week into school was like, look, I'm teaching 5 subjects at once. Be patient with me. Give me a little chance. I'm going to get to you. Let's have faith that we can do this, right? This is why it's really, really important to do these kind of things. And, but yeah, they get so easily frustrated. I'm like, guys, you can do this. And after like sitting with them for a couple minutes, showing them the right technique, the right way to breathe, you know, a great embouchure, like all these little nuances that, you know, they don't think that it's important to be a musician. I'm like, look, if you know how to do all this, you know, not only can you play better, you could read more, you can expand so much of what you want to invest into this. And it should make your normal music enjoyment so much better to do because you can listen to music in a different way. You can expand to different genres and not just stick in with maybe like a handful of them. But that would be like my really biggest challenge because some of these kids don't have any faith. I'm like, you need to, I don't know if your parents tell you you're not at home or whatever it is, or the situation or outside stuff, whoever the case is, like have faith that you can do this stuff. You can provide so much more opportunities for you. And like, you just put yourself down so quickly. You just give up. You just kind of throw in the towel. And it's a little sad to deal with that, but you know, they come around. I get smiles out of them. I make funny jokes. That's the best thing I do. I always break everything up with comedy. It usually solves a lot of problems. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. It's tough. It's not easy. Not easy establishing faith.
Yeah, I think that's real important, Jesse. Like a lot of our students have never been affirmed positively in anything. So, you know, back to that question about, you know, alum and sometimes, you know, those outside influences, like, why isn't band the way it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago? The home structure has completely changed. It's completely changed. And for a kid who's never been told they do anything right, and you're asking them to play something in 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 weeks for me. It used to be 2 weeks before senior inaugural. They have to play in front of 1,200 students, peers, and they can't play a grade 1. They have to play Star Spangled Banner. That's not going to be a grade 1. I don't care how much I water it down. They have to play March Mighty. That's not a grade 1. The arrangement they like was a 2. Those are not easy things to do in front of your peers. And when people are like, well, why they not playing? Why they still kids? Like, damn it, I think people forgot that we work with kids. I know social media has kind of caused some of that where we used to instant products, but these are kids who go home to abusive parents, abusive family members, empty refrigerators, nobody to pick them up after school, no families, no support, and we want them to do something that they consider impossible. And how dare you say those kids suck? Those kids are surviving, and we're asking them to survive in another arena that is completely foreign. It's a complete foreign language to them. And, I get it on a college level because, there's some level of, achievement. But a lot of high school programs, mine was always built off of last names L through Z for the first 5 years. So if you see anything from Western High School 2012 to 2016, it was last names L through Z, kids who didn't want to be there. And I said, guess what? We're going to band assessments on a grade 3. I don't know how to read music. By the time I'm done with you, you will. We're going to music in the parks. I don't know. We doing what? I don't have the money. By the time I'm done fundraising, we will. They have to put a lot of faith in us. And we're strangers. And they're putting faith in us when they have people they know that have no faith in them. And so it's just crazy to me, how people can't understand that concept that these kids sometimes are doing the best that they can with the tools they don't have all the time. And we have to implant that. It's a tough job. Ooh, y'all got us tapping that. Mike Bell.
That's so real quick. Krystal, it has been so great seeing you chronicle your journey over the course of the past couple of years. I didn't know you prior to you teaching at Western, but I remember I knew the band director before you were there and knew the program that he led. And seeing the way that you took the program revolutionized what I saw from teachers in the city of Baltimore. So transparent, so willing to try new things. Even through the pandemic, showing folks, hey, this is possible. This is a great way to reach all these people at the same time. And seeing the product, and great, all things considered, with such little resources and making it happen. It inspires folks in the city and also from other areas to take this craft seriously, to pour back in the same way that you have. So I said to say kudos to you, honestly. You're an inspiration for me.
Man, that's gonna make me. I'm not a touchy feeling person, but you almost got me in the feels. I felt like I was failing a lot. And when I found something that worked, I just felt like I didn't want no one to have to fail the way that I felt like I was failing. Because, being a band director is real personal. We got a question. For real, thank you. I ain't gonna go. I'm gonna go in the car and cry. I'm gonna go in the car and cry. No, for real, that's real touching because I used to close my door and say, what I'm dealing with is unique to me. And then I would talk to another band director like yourselves, and they would be like, nah, I'm dealing with it too. And then it would kind of make me feel like I was heading in the right direction. Or if I wasn't, they gave me some insight. And I just felt like I had a duty to share it because I really care about the kids because band was the best time of my life. For real. We got a question in the chat. Burger, This is the off the cuff part. I'm gonna put it up there. All right, here it is. Damn, Burger, why you do this? How do y'all feel about the music educators who aren't teaching a damn thing, and it's most definitely reflective in their product? Woo! All right, y'all take the floor. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let the panel run with this.
Hold on. All right. It depends on what kind of musician you are. I look at it, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I relate being a musician to being a Jedi. There are ways you can be a Jedi, but not like all the other. You could be a scholar, you could be a diplomat, you could work in security, or you can be somebody that fight. I always put myself on the front line. I service music. Like, I'm here for music. So when you look at my program, when you talk to my kids, my little black cheerins, who over there like reading in B minor. What? You know what I'm saying? Like it depends on the kind of musician you are, the kind of person you are, the kind of person you want to be. I don't like it. Because I've always felt like being a band director, it's the big part of being a band director is the influence. It's the platform. It's the look. Wherever you are, people at some point are going to see you in the community. And people are going to make assessments. They're going to have perceptions. They're going to have judgments and all sorts of stuff. And when you put something out there that look raggedy, they're going to associate it with the people that's doing it. Like, it's not, in my opinion, if you're not ready, don't do it. If you don't know, ask somebody so you will. Like, there are so many ways to service music, to service young musicians. Like, that's what we're here for. So like when I see programs out there, or when I hear programs, or when I listen to kids talking, I'm like, what the hell? What on earth is going on over there? Because I say I know I'm not that old, but I'm definitely not one of these new musicians. Like my theory teacher was a little old lady. That's what I came up on. Not this Artusi, not doing all the shit online. That lady had been here for 50 years. And she put everything in me. You know what I'm saying? So off rip, I'm built different. And so my kid's gonna be built different too. Like I'm able to see, So to answer the question, I'm mad. Like stuff like that pisses me off. Because why are you here? It couldn't be to just get a check. Go work at Hyundai. Go deliver some boxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can make some beats. So you play piano at church. That don't mean shit, bruh. You can't teach if you can't play your horn. If you can't play your horn. Like, it's a waste of time. Like, if we're gonna be here, if we're gonna be artists at the highest level, like, you should care. And that's all I'm saying.
The doors of the church are open. No. It's that if you care, you make sure you right. You know what I mean? You make sure you right. Because I had to send an open letter to my clarinet professor from Morgan, Ben Kono. I sent him a long letter. He kicked my ass out of lessons for a month straight. I mean, I would be there about 2 minutes. He said, "You wasting my time. I got a gig with Jill Scott in Singapore in 48 hours. I could use this time to practice. Go figure out if this is what you want to do." He said that to me for like a month straight. Until one day I got to my dorm, I put on my pajamas, I took a shower, and I went right back to the music building. It's about 11 o'clock after marching band practice. See, this is the stuff that it was going to take a different level of commitment for me to do well. Not just kind of status quo, I'm in marching band so I can play. No, that ain't really mean I can play. That just meant I can memorize a part that everybody else was playing in my section and copy really well. And I would be in there till the sun came up. And I said, thank you for kicking my ass. Like, for real. Like, thank you for seeing something greater in myself that I couldn't see. And that's what we're doing for students. But you can't do that if you don't see that same work ethic in yourself. Like some people get mad, Burger. I'm speaking to you, get mad when kids can't do something. But if you ask them to come out and play some scales, they can't even tell you. Or they write something, they arrange something. You know, I have a rant about arrangers, and Jesse, you know, I'm speaking, we speak in the same language. It's not even the right key. You got sharps and flats married together. That's an abomination. But how can you expect them to be great if you not constantly, and it's not just about college. Like I still play. I still look for opportunities. I still go to PDs. One of my SAI sisters, she says, you know, why do y'all go to Midwest if you're going to come back and your band still suck? I agree with that a little bit. I do. Because why are you going to spend all that money? And we know the answer is sometimes you just want to be amongst the number. Sometimes you want to look the part, like you said, Dr. K. So it burns us up, but you can't focus on them either. Because there's someone bad in every industry. Like sometimes we take this education thing and act like people, there aren't bad educators. Like there are bad people in every industry. There's somebody who's not a good doctor. There's someone who's not a good lawyer. There's someone who's not a good mechanic. It just exists. Lamech said B flat and A sharp in the same key lesson. Ugly. I don't know. We got anybody want to talk before we move on to it's probably about to be the last question, but this is a good conversation. Mike Bell.
Man, let me start this with an observation. Some folks run their programs based on the performances instead of the education. Folks will push their kids, hey, we got to get ready for this performance. We're going to do this, this, and this. And speaking to your point, Dr. Kimmins, they don't teach them how to play this, that, and the third. They just say, no, you need to open that up. What does opening this up mean? What is open versus closed? What do these things mean in the term of this instrument that I just started playing last week? I say all that to say there are terrible educators out here who are just pushing their students to perform. And because they perform, they think they're doing great. When that same student goes for an audition for that scholarship that they were told they were going to get because they were in the band, and they end up cut, not even on these cards, straight up cut, because they can't read any of what they've been playing. They can't tell you any rudiments. They can't play a Radamacue. Like these are the basic things that are going to be asked of you. Jump the street before they even hand you any music. Play these rudiments open and closed. But instead, we're teaching our kids 2 and 4 drum humping. Yeah, body roll, cymbal flash. Not even that much, but you can't subdivide. If you don't make snare, what will you play? All of these are things that some educators are not preparing their students for, let alone being able to use their skills to move to a different instrument, because that is the making of a true musician. You take what you learn in music theory. Okay, I know what this rhythm is. I know what this pitch sounds like. I may not know how to develop that sound just yet, but if I had the instruction, I could learn it. That plasticity is what music builds. And if you as an educator, all you're doing is teaching them how to do one thing, you're failing that kid. And when they go off trying to get a scholarship, trying to go further, which is what we all should be pushing our students to do, they're going to find themselves hitting the brick wall. What really grinds my gears is when we run groups and I see folks 40 years old playing with middle and high schoolers. I don't mean no harm. It just hits a nerve for me. I can't stand it. Like, what are you telling this student to do with this craft? Stay in this band, like this one right here, and don't do anything else with it. But yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
Listen, this comment right here is it. Everybody wants their ego stroked. I say it, and I show and I can say it. I don't have a phallus to swing. So I can't get in a phallus swinging contest because I don't have one. There are not enough of people who look like me doing it. So I have to educate, because if I suck, if my kids sound bad, if I suck and my kids sound bad, then there'll be no forgiveness for me. And I'm just telling you, gentlemen on here, it's a different ballpark. As a woman, we have to teach. We don't quite always have that commanding voice that says, do it just because I said so. We get questioned 12 times. And that's not just 2 sometimes. But it's that ego. Like, being a band director has become the new superstar of music. Like, I can put on a show, and there's a certain level of entertainment. Absolutely. There's certain things I do at a concert to get, crowd engagement, but that's after the teaching. That's not before. That's pulling the cart before the horse. That's after I've taught the skills. That's after. I think, we have had that talk about, adults in youth groups or mixed together. I'm on the fence. I've seen it in certain situations where it's good, because sometimes they haven't seen somebody who looks like them play. And sometimes they are in a mentorship role and it's actually helpful. I've seen it in situations where it's bad because they're teaching them adult habits. There's always 2 sides to the coin. It just depends on the person's direction and where they actually want that program to go and where their values are. And we have a lot of great value programs, and it ain't about the students. Great value, like, you go to the Walmart, daddy, and go in there and get something that says great value. And it's almost like Cheerios. It's almost like, but when you taste it, it's just something not quite right. We got a lot of off-brand educators. That's what I'm gonna call it, where they think the elements to make this item product good is this, when at the end of the day, it's really this. And those things are consistent. They stand the test of time. People talk about FAMU all day long, talk about Bethune-Cookman all day long, but they have stood the test of time. They don't always bend in what it is that they do. And then you see them at Louis Vuitton in Europe. That's not the same as doing some little parade daddy down the street. That's a whole different level of exposure for those kids, a whole different level of money going into the program. And it gives the kids a outreach and an outlook on what they really could do if they're good. We got one more question. Yeah, we always hating, and I know people think I'm a hater, and they can kiss my edit. This is the fun one, and one, it's been a pleasure. We at the 8 o'clock mark. My evaluation, my pre-op evaluation is tomorrow, and I have my student teachers evaluation this week as well. So I have an observation, and then my student teacher is being observed too in my classroom. So that's a whole another level when you actually take somebody under and you try not to screw them up. Name the craziest thing that has happened to you or that you witnessed while on the job. We're going to treat it like TV. Keep names out of it. No personal accounts. Let's protect the identities of the presumed innocent. What's the craziest thing that you witnessed as a new educator in your current position? Gene, you look like
I
you
don't know
about
if
to
it's
start.
legal to. I don't know if it's legal to say. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on this one.
All right.
Okay.
Plead the fifth.
I'm gonna plead the
1,
fifth
2,
because
3,
yeah,
fifth.
I'm 1, 2, 3. Yes, no, I'm gonna just stay on this one. Yeah.
All right. You have decided to remain silent. Craziest thing that you that has happened or you witnessed while in the classroom.
This isn't. Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, sorry. Is Easy gonna go?
You trying to rock paper scissors for it?
Go
Oh,
ahead. No.
So this was a little while ago. There was a parade in the evening, and we were one of the last groups in the parade. So the way parades work is everyone is moving in one direction, and the group before us, they stop at the end of the parade to just play. So we're behind them, like we're in earshot of them. We can still hear them. We're still playing. They moved for a smooth 10 minutes. They are just performing. So we're like, okay, we're going to do a tunnel now because clearly you guys aren't moving. We do that, and their band director comes to us and say, hey, you guys are too loud. You're disrupting our folks. They can't hear. Huh? How? Sway, this is a parade. We're all playing at the same time. And you stop. How are you coming to me saying we're too loud? Help me understand. Like, if you want us to move, we can move once you do, or at least give us space to go around you. I say all this, this piggybacks off the last question. Bad instruction. You know, so far it's been for me trying to be PG on this. That is one of the craziest things I've seen. It's not the most outlandish because I've seen way worse. But for the sake of keeping it PG, that is the wildest thing I've seen.
Woo. Where they do that at? Apparently they do that. Just when you say I've never seen it before, here we go. You've seen it. Mr. Law, craziest thing.
So this is tough for me. I don't know if I've seen crazy. I'm sure it's gonna come find me some way or another. I know I guarantee it's gonna come find me. But I don't know. I really would think just the craziest thing I've dealt with so far is just some of my students occasionally, well, they get very excited. And so when I said very excited, they have to tell the whole world. So so they just go and just run out of my classroom while I'm like working with some other students or whatever. And they just like to put on some improv performances in other teachers' classrooms with their like loud instruments. So I guess it's a good crazy if that's like a thing. But yeah, I think it's a good crazy. That's what I'm gonna go with right now. It's a good crazy. But like other than that, it's nothing been like too bad.
Hold on. So they just decide they're gonna go perform for somebody else?
So I'm like in an art wing basically. So they'll go to either like the choir teacher or like another classroom that's like close by and just disrupt everything and just have fun. I guess that's the best way to put it. Man. I was like, why are you doing that for? Like, what's the reason of that? Like, let's go back to the room and, but that's really just like crazy. I would say from a director point of view, what I did find very crazy is, as I mentioned, I took over somebody who was there for 40 years. So you would expect to be 40 years worth of repertoire and music and filing cabinets. When
Nope.
I walked in over in the summer, everything was gone. Everything. Everything was just, it was like not what I expected. Because that's like, I was happy. I was like, oh, I get all this music. This is great. I can organize it. I'm a very like organized type of, I like have my things over here. Do that. Nope. I had zero music on day one. Absolutely nothing. And they're like, and then the admin, the admin difficulties. Like, oh, when are you guys going to do performance? And I look at, we're lucky if we get one performance this year. All right. Because I want to make sure these kids actually know how to play. That's important to me right now. That's my only goal. That's my only goal right now. So, but yeah, that from that point of view, it's crazy. But yeah, there's some good crazy too, apparently.
That's hilarious. I know I shouldn't laugh at it. The teacher in me is like, you're disrupting somebody's class. But in my mind, I have a really active imagination. I can see kids like playing like Cold Hearted Snake for like the choir just because they want to. Like, I shouldn't laugh. That's the bad teacher in me. But at the same time, I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, well, at least they are proud of what they're doing. That we just got to hone it into like something more productive. That's crazy. I've had some crazy. Anybody else? Your craziest? That's pretty crazy.
I actually do have more. Actually have like two. like two. That's my first year. I was on the fourth floor. I was doing survey on the fourth floor, and then I was doing my band for first period, like on B days. And so I was having to run up and down to police both hallways. The police upstairs, then police downstairs. Make sure that every kids weren't skipping down there, and the dice games were prevalent. Like that, like dice games. It's just ridiculous. That, and I found a couple of students smoking in the bathroom, like once or twice. Like, but that's, in my opinion, that's real tame for the stuff that you probably can't find.
That's pretty tame. I catch someone smoking about once a week. About once a week. They smell like trees. I be like, hey, somebody, listen, you can't be in here smelling like a dispensary. You just can't. Like, please don't come to school at that point. Just take the day off. Just take the day off. Dr. Kimmins.
So the first thing, and my friends warned me about this. They're like, all right, bro, when they fall in love with you, you gonna start hearing some crazy shit. Because they're gonna feel real comfortable around you. And Dr. Kimmins, why this? Why I feel like this? Why this happening? I'm like, whoa, no. No. Or like I be in my office trying to write music in peace, away from people, and they telling me about, you hear them outside my office talking about everything. Like everything. Like the stuff in the group chats, everything. And I'm just, playing at my keyboard like, what? Nope, I'm gonna keep writing. I'm gonna just ignore this. And like that just, it blows my mind. And sometimes I have to get up and walk out and be like, where are you going? I'm like, I need a break from all of that. Like I need a real break to get away from all this. And the other crazy thing was when I first started, kids would be kids. They want to sneak into the band room and stuff. I'm on my planning period, which I told y'all about. I don't play about it. Apparently, I left the door open. My administrator calls me, Dr. Kimmins, where are you? I'm at home. It's my planning. Well, we just came in and pulled 8 or 9 kids out of closets. They call them closets, but the practice rooms. We just pulled 8 or 9, kids out of the closet. I'm like, first of all, I ain't got no closets. I have practice rooms. But okay. And they saying that you knew they was in there. Whoa!
Yeah.
No.
Me too. Was home. And them jokers had put some gum in the door so it wouldn't lock. and was having themselves some personal time.
I don't know what they was doing, but I ain't had nothing to do with that. Come to find out, it's kids all up in the damn ceiling and stuff. And so all this goes down. Yes, bro. Yes. I said it, in the ceiling. So
How do you get up? How do you get up there?
The bedroom's so old. The ceiling panels, it looked like a factory in there. I get in my office, right? I done talked to the principal. He done wagged his finger, you know. I done did what I had to do. I done went off on some folks. I hear a door. Because my music library is in my office. So the handles start moving.
Ceiling.
And then my percussion instructor, he walks in. So he's trying to get into the library because that's where I keep all my heads. And the library door opens. And I'm like, you've been in there this whole time? Kid in there the whole time. Everybody done got caught except for this dude because he was in there asleep, minding his business. I mean, he shouldn't have been in there, but it's like, bro, what the hell? Like, but that was the craziest stuff. Like, that just blew my mind. To this day, that boy still ain't got in trouble because no one knew he was in there.
He lived until the time.
Yeah, he happened to wake up and walked out of the room. I'm like, what on earth?
I've had that exact same thing happen. I was home. I actually called out, and kids were in the practice rooms and the storage rooms because they knew I wasn't there. However, though, the principal tried to write me up for it. I was like, how? She's like, you must have a culture of this. I was like, they're high schoolers. Like, if they think they can get away with it, they will try it. It has nothing to do with what you instill. I used to get written up for a whole bunch of stuff that ain't have nothing to do with me. It's just like that. You don't go write them up when they do it in English. Don't come down here and write me up for something that they do in my academic class, or not even while I'm even present. They just decided this is the space where administrators don't come. Let's talk about that. Administrators don't come to the band room or the arts wing because they don't want to hear noise, what they consider noise. You're really blessed if you have an administrator that cares what's actually happening down there. And the kids just knew it. I don't know. I got some crazy ones. That's a crazy one, but I have crazier. Because in Baltimore, 15 years of Baltimore City schools. Oh, crazy. Well, that's one. I think the craziest is I taught middle school my first years in Brooklyn. We would have marching band practice at the rec because it was a field by the rec. So what we gonna do? We gonna drill. Like, we need open space. It kind of gets them off of the school grounds because the school was crazy. So they would go to the rec. They would give them dinner at the rec. So it was kind of like, hey, dismissal, go to the rec, eat your little snack, do homework time at the club, and then outside to the field. Well, I'm at the rec. I got some time. I beat them there, and one little girl is on the playground, just swinging on a swing. I'm like, okay, she got here quick because school just let out. Like, she was huffing it, just chilling, swing on swing, having, la-da-da-da-da. And next thing I know, the popos show up. Oh yeah, the plot thickens real quick, man. We had some good times in Brooklyn, boy, I tell you. Popos show up and take this little girl down. And I'm like, what the? At first I was like, this is like obsessive. Like, they come out the cars, like it's a couple cars or whatever. And so, like, one of the officers comes in and it's like, someone had tipped us off that she was probably headed towards the rack and we needed to, get here as fast as we can. I was like, well, what's going on? Oh, there was a fight at the school and she stabbed the girl like 7 times. I was like, what the heck? What the hell? I mean, just sitting in a swing. Completely like it's a regular day, a sunshiny day on the park. This little girl has stabbed a classmate 17 times at dismissal. Like I mean, stabbed her up. And stabbed her up. And she's just sitting outside chilling. That was a normal day in Brooklyn, Maryland. So I ain't afraid of nothing. It ain't nothing someone could tell me in a school that would scare me. Like nothing. Nope, nothing. That's my crazy. That's the craziest.
I'm sorry. I have not shared an even worse story. Imagine we're doing a parade in Latrobe, and this man accuses us of stealing his laptop. I cannot make this up. He accused the band. His words were, "My laptop was perfectly fine sitting next to me, so your band niggas came marching around." Sir, you had your laptop outside with you? Because we didn't come inside anyway. We came here on a bus. We're leaving in the same bus. At what point did we get your laptop? How? Maybe check home? He came back out 5 minutes later, laptop in hand. "Y'all, I'm sorry. I live in Latrobe, folks steal." I'm like, what they got to do with us? But yeah, he was, how I put this? I can't believe I was accused of stealing a laptop when I just got there. It's crazy.
But why would a teacher? Right. Why would a teacher steal a laptop? Like usually, if it's a school laptop, that junk got LoJack on it. Like you're not gonna get far.
Like this man, he came up, he pulled up to the parade on his bike from like across the street, not even on the Latrobe side. So I'm like, where did you have a laptop?
He's on the bike. I don't know. I would just kick that joint. Get out of here. I'm just gonna kick the bike. Get out of here. We get silly. Oh my goodness.
Yo.
Any more crazy stories before we open the doors of the church? We have had a good silly time. Whew. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump to this last question. Just your final statement. One, it's been a pleasure talking to you all. It made me a little nostalgic thinking about those first years. Now I don't know. I don't care. I care, but I don't care. I don't know if it's part because I'm over 40, but some of it is just like nothing fazed me now. Like nothing. I mean, you want a kid stab somebody and comes to the playground. It's not much you can go. You could get any worse than that. So I'm just counting down to retirement. That's no. I love teaching, and now my new ministry is helping new teachers teach better than I taught when I first started. So last question. What's one piece of advice you would give to a new band director? One piece of advice, new band director. What would you say? Closing statement. Gene.
Organize. Stay organized. Please. Like it'll get away from you so fast. And especially if you don't already have those habits going in, like implement some type of organizational habits. Your kids will see it, the administration will see it, like everybody around you will know you don't have it together. Like you look like you're scrambling. Like I can tell you woke up this morning and didn't have your outfit laid out last night. Like, everybody can just tell. So please, any new band directors, just stay organized. That's in my opinion, that's the biggest thing. Organizing.
That hit me.
I'm sorry. Organizing your headspace. Last thing, organizing your headspace. Organize for your work. Organize for your personal life, and you should be okay.
The OCD in me just that touched me deeply, because when I evaluate teachers, that's the first thing I'm like, your room's a mess. You're a mess. And now the kids can't learn because you're not ready to teach, because you don't know what you're doing, because you don't know what you're trying to do. Piece of advice, Dr. Kimmins.
Mute. Know yourself.
Mhm.
Like I said before, know what musician you want to be. And above all, go into this for music. This has to remain pure, this art form of ours. You can't dilute it with yourself. You have to be a drop in the lake, not causing ripples, making sure everything is straight, making sure that when I die, people will talk about the Kimmins method, or there will be some sort of method built off of what I taught, what I put out there. And all of this is not for me. It comes from me. It just really comes out of me. But it is not for me. And knowing yourself is going to be the one thing that helps you become, good or bad. If you don't know yourself, how can you be effective? Once you do know yourself, how can you be effective? I don't know. I just don't try to be any other band director. Don't try to be your old band director. Try to become yourself. Try to become the best conduit for music and teaching. And get you some monies or whatever. But be there for the people who are trying to be a part of what we are. Not everybody can be a musician. Not everybody can be a good musician. It's a dying art form. It has a lifespan like languages do. You know what I mean? And it's up to us, devout Orthodox musicians to keep all this alive. So we have to figure it out. If that means being the first Black female principal oboist in a symphony, then you got to do that. If that means teaching these children in the public school, then do that. If it means teaching their brothers and sisters in college, then do that. Just don't be trash at it. And do it because that's what you want to do and because you love it. That's my advice.
That's a good word right there. Ooh, y'all sure y'all like new at this? Like y'all speaking some real wisdom. Mr. Law.
So what I would like to add that has not been already said is, and what I've been learning is, be prepared to be not prepared or unexpected. It's just kind of rolling with kind of the punches, because there's going to be days where everything is great, lesson plans together, admin stuff is great, you're on the ball rolling, and then you're going to have days where there's something so far beyond your control and it kind of stinks a little bit. Objectively, it kind of stinks, but you have to go with it, right? There's no route, there's no divide in the road. You just have to go down this way. And I feel like everything I've done so far has sort of been like this a little bit. And I think also partially is a learning curve too. I think there's like two sides of that. I think there's some learning curve stuff, some unexpectedness, but just really just just know that you're going to be tested in something that's beyond your control, and just be ready for when that happens. Because once you kind of master, I guess, the improvisational way of going about it, then it's just going to make everything better, and it's making everything better for the kids, because that's why we're really there at the end of the day.
That's good, because everything ain't gonna go right. I don't care if you plan. Can't plan for the fire alarm in the middle of the day. Can't plan for COVID. You can't plan and prep for things like that. Bell.
I would say practice plasticity for sure, because things, like you just said, things are subject to change. And when it comes to teaching, you'll find that every student is different and their means of learning are different. Therefore, you've got to adjust in some cases what you're doing in order to make sure that that student doesn't get left behind, especially when you're talking about an ensemble. Like, excuse me, you could have an entire group catching on to a certain passage and someone doesn't understand how to count it. I use this warm up, and this is the show where we're at as far as the times. 16 on this hand, 16 on that hand, 8 on this hand, 8 on that hand, 4 on this hand, 4 on that hand, 1 release. I told them to count how many notes you just played. The response was, I can't do big math like that. I need pen and paper. I say all that to say, you may think it's going to go one way, but you have to have that plasticity. If it's necessary to go further in depth, be willing to do so. Or else that student will find that brick wall every time because they haven't been shown how to get past it.
That right there.
Dr. Kimmons, you just killed me in the comments.
Listen.
I am the wall.
I am the wall. If I had all this advice and I actually was in a headspace when I first started teaching, I wouldn't have walked out of the class in March. Now I walked out for a good reason. I walked out because it was huge union violations. I mean, like the fire alarm didn't work on my side of the building. We had band practice one day and someone actually had set the bathroom on fire. The entire school was outside the building. We were still in the band room on the 5th floor because the alarm didn't work. So, you got it. So I'll say, know your rights. Know what is legal and just for you to do per your contract, per your union, if you have one. Know those things, because sometimes we're burning the candle on both ends and doing something that is impossible because it goes against everything that is legally sound for you to do. And I used to be that band director that had the any means necessary. I'm just going to do it. The principal calls me on a Saturday. I'm going to do the performance. Not respecting time of my family. Not knowing that they legally can't even make you answer your email on the weekend. Because you do need boundaries. Set them and know them and be faithful to yourself with those boundaries. Because you can be the greatest educator, greatest band director, and be putting one foot in the grave every day you say yes. And I have done it. I got to a point where I was getting back spasms, and I pulled up to the school and I couldn't even get out the car. And I was pregnant and, had a real rough pregnancy and didn't know that there was some break hours that I wasn't getting. I was teaching double periods. I was teaching 5th grade and 6th grade, 60 kids in the classroom. Didn't know that was way over the top legally, but just doing it because, unfortunately, sometimes they take advantage of us teachers. Your administrators sometimes take advantage of you. And it's okay to know your rights. It's okay to know those boundaries and set them with my family. That's why now, if it's my planning period and I absolutely have to get something done that's per contract, the kids got to understand that. And I explained it to him. He's like, I need to do this part of my job so you can continue to talk to me tomorrow. And they understand it because kids are smart. They understand it when you set the boundaries. I was like, hey, my son's birthday is this weekend. I might not get back to you until Monday morning, but I will get back to you. But this weekend, Just like when you come home, you want your mom. My 12-year-old, he wants his mom too. And they respect it. And you're actually teaching them how to have boundaries with themselves as well. So that's what I would say. Know your boundaries, know your contract, know what's legally right and sound for you to do. Make sure you cross and T's and dot the I's. But at the end of the day, it may be our ministry, but your ministry shouldn't kill you. It should be adding to, not taking away. That moment that is taking away, reevaluate what it is that you're doing. Maybe you're not organized, like someone said. Maybe you're unorganized. Jean said it. Maybe you don't know that there's a better way. Maybe you don't know you can borrow that music from another teacher before you buy it. Those are the things. Maybe you haven't used your network well. Maybe you're not communicating about Johnny who's throwing your bass drum off the stage to find out that they have a proximity issue. You got too close and he felt threatened. You know, it's all those things. Just being aware of the rules and regulations and how to use those things to be a better director. Those are things that I was failing at miserably for a while. And you don't have to. And get a mentor. I have a mentor. I have 3. I talk to them almost every day. And if it's almost 17 years, I talk to at least one. Patricia Hopkins, one of the first female band directors I ever met. She's my husband's band director. I talked to Walter Harley because he understands the business of band. Like, there's a business about band. There is a structure. There's paperwork that you need to understand on your school level. And sometimes I just talk to somebody. I talk to James Childs. That's my boy. He's my frat bro, and we were in school together. I talk to him just for peace of mind, so I don't think I'm crazy before I pull up to that building. I'm like, am I crazy? Was this assignment too hard that they just can't seem to get done? We need those things. At the end of the day, this is a village, and it takes a village. And I'm just happy y'all in the village, for real. That's real. I'm happy y'all in the village, and thank you for spending a Sunday evening with me. It's 8:30. We at the 2-hour mark. Hit me up. People know if you DM me with a problem, I might not have the solution, but I might be able to point you towards somebody who does. And if I hit you up, I don't think that just because you just started, you don't have a different insight that my old ass might not even be thinking about anymore. That's real talk. Thank you for tuning in. This is Diary of a Lady Band Director, episode 20. Good night. Have a good week. Have a good week at work. Mike Bell, we gonna have to talk because we close. And Jean hit me up. Like, all 3 of y'all are close to me. So we gotta go eat some French fries. Or I'll look at y'all eat French fries. I can't. Thank you. Have a good one. Subscribe, like, talk that talk, passionate network, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, have a good one now.